Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and in this video I want to show you how to use double notch crimping pliers. So you're actually going to use these the same way you use a normal crimping plier, which I'll show you how to do in this video. But what makes these unique is you can see here at the nose, there's the regular notch, which is more rounded right towards the tip. There then are two instead of one of the little crescent-shaped notches. Now what that's going to allow you to do is to crimp various sized crimp beads and tubes. And actually these pliers are meant to crimp all crimp beads and tubes that are considered medium size, which is 2 millimeters to 3 millimeters. So in the video, I'm going to show you how to crimp a 2 millimeter as well as a 2.5, and just note that if you have a 3 millimeter, you could crimp it as well. I just have a couple beads I threw together here on some beading wire. I wanted to have a contrasting wire so it'd be a little bit easier to see in the video. I've got a bead stop on one end, and now on the other end, I'm going to go ahead, thread on a crimp tube, and now this is the 2 millimeter size. And then I'm going to put on a closed jump ring and just pretend that this is what maybe is part of my clasp or however I'm wanting to finish this design. So I've got that jump ring. It could be an end of a lobster clasp, it could be anything. I'm going to take the tail of my beading wire, thread it back through that crimp bead and several beads adjacent to it. So the wire comes back out the other end. And now I'm just going to pull it snug. And now I'm ready to crimp that crimp tube. So the first step is I'm going to lay it down, in this case, in the middle notch. So this is the smaller of the two crescent-shaped notches. And lay it down in there and just squeeze. You don't have to use a lot of pressure. And you'll see what has now happened is it's become curved. So now it is a crescent shape. Now I'm going to rotate it on its side and put it in that top notch, which is more rounded, and press. And now I've taken those two sides and folded them over on top of each other, and now it is tight. That crimp bead is, my beads are moving, but that crimp bead's not moving. Now I can go ahead and trim this off, the excess wire. Now, you of course don't want your beads moving around in a design, so we need to crimp the other end. And in this case, I'm going to use a larger crimp bead and use that back notch. But it's going to be the exact same technique. Thread on the crimp tube, thread on whatever other part of your clasp or whatever object you're wanting to attach it to. Take the end of your beading wire, go back through the crimp tube and several adjacent beads. And now in this case, because we're finishing off a design, we want to make sure there's not a gap in the beads. So we're just going to pull it down so there's not a gap. Now, a little quick designer tip is don't pull it too tight, because if you pull it too tight, your bracelet or whatever your design is won't curve naturally. So you want a little bit of a gap. You can see right here, there's just a couple millimeter gap. You always want that little bit of a gap. So now we're going to crimp this side, and we're going to do it in the same manner we did it before, but we're going to put it in that back notch, which is a little bit larger to accommodate the larger size crimp tube. Same process though. Compress, now it's crescent shaped, rotate it and put it up in that front notch and fold over. And that is now secure as well. Now we just need to trim off our tail. And if this was a bracelet or a necklace, it would be all ready to attach the clasp, or it would already be finished. So you can buy these crimping pliers, as well as a lot of other supplies to go with them, and a whole multitude of beads at Beadaholique.com.